Hello folks, welcome to this new video. In this video, we'll see three alternatives which we can use to have a Red Hat machine, or let's say a type of Red Hat flavor, as a virtual machine or as an instance which we can access through M1 Mac. So you might have seen many problems been occurring in the virtualization world because none of the software has yet came up with the M1 support. Let's say even if it is VirtualBox or VMware. So let's start and let's see how we can tackle this issue. So the first solution would be using UTM. Now, okay, this is not a solution, but we can say it's a very good alternative to use. But what if we want to use a Red Hat machine or a flavor of Red Hat? So as far as I know, the best possible alternative is Fedora right now. Now, why we need to use Fedora and not CentOS? Now, there's an issue which I came to know while performing many tasks on it. So first of all, Red Hat has a 64K CPU page size, and even CentOS also had a 64K CPU page size, but M1 supports only 6K CPU page size. So because of that, we are not able to virtualize it, even if the image is ARC64, which is supported on ARM chips. So this is one of the solution which you can use on UTM. UTM, like installation of UTM is very simple. Go to this link, click on download. There would be one DMG file. Just drop it into application and UTM is ready. Then finally download this ARC64 DVD ISO, and you can follow the steps on the UTM software to start the virtual machine. But let's say if you have a use case where you need to have an x86 or 64 architecture, so the best alternative which I have found was using an AWS instance. Now to use even AWS instance, there are two ways. So totally first way was to use UTM and Fedora, and another one is use the AWS instance CLI. Now there would be another way which we can come up with is to use a GUI on an AWS instance. So that would be our third way. So let's start. So once you have made your AWS account, you can jump to EC2, and in EC2 you need to create an instance, or let's say launch instance. You can select this 8.4 version, which is right now x86. As we discussed, let's say if we want to use x86. So yeah, in here you first need to like if you have a credit in your AWS, or if you can spend some money on your project, so you can go with T2 large, because because your the GUI installation would take up a lot of space, and you might need memory to even render it. So let's go and leave this all. Yeah, I would recommend to use 80 or 100 GB. Then you can name it, let's say GUI Red Hat. Then in security group, for right now, you need to add few rules. So one of the rule would be of RDP. I'll tell you why we need to do it. RDP. And you can even customize it, like you can enable what let's say you can give your own public IP here, so that no one else could come and see, like log into your instance. RDP SSH. And yeah, for now that's enough. And one more thing, in future, if you are installing web server or any kind of software which needs communication, or you need to communicate on a particular port, you need to update this security group. So right now you just add this RDP here, and go to review and launch. Select the key pair which I am already having, and launch it. So once it is launched, you need to get the GUI shell. Now here one more thing I want to specifically mention. Let's say if you want to, like you have a let's say workload of only 10 hours, so you can continuously let it run, like let it run for 10 hours. But let's say if you have a situation where you need to work 2 hours today and 2 hours like all day, So you need to stop this instance, right? And once it is stopped, then you need to restart it again. So at some point of time, you will come to know that public IP is not static here. Private IP would be static. So to make your public IP static, there's one more service in AWS. It is called Elastic IP, which is under EC2. So I'll just show you in a minute where it is. Yeah, Elastic IPs. So you can go to Elastic IPs, and further then you can create one Elastic IP, like by allocate, like first create one, allocate Elastic IP, and then you can just give a tag name, whatever name you want, and click on allocate, and it will be finally created. After it is created, you need to select it, and then click on actions, and there would be allocate Elastic IP, and then select your running instance. Right now it would be our GUI Red Hat. This is only if you want to use this instance for very long time, and you don't want to come again and again on this portal and see the public IP whenever you want to use it. So if you want to make it static, then you need to do this step. Otherwise, you don't have to do it. So once it is running and it is up, you need to connect it. So if you have Mac, or obviously we'll be demonstrating on Mac, but if you are a Windows user, then you can use PuTTY or even SSH, the same way as I am using right now. So navigate where your keys are, and the command would be SSH permission, then EC2 user your IP, and yes, authenticate, and we are inside the instance, the Red Hat instance. Okay, so let us check also once. Yeah, it is 8.4, and it's Red Hat Linux. This is the reason why I told you can use Fedora for an alternative. Now let's begin. Now this is the second way, which I was telling about, CLI. It is an Red Hat CLI right now, which we are using. There is no GUI in it, and it is fine. Like, CLI is the best way you can use any Linux system. But if you want a GUI, like let's say right now we are using this Mac, so it is have a proper desktop and everything in a GUI format. So if you want something like this, then you need to follow the steps which I'm showing you right now. So first of all, become the root user, because we need to install some softwares. That would be let me check the group name. So it would be group list, yum group list. So what group list is, in Red Hat Package Manager, there are so many software which are for a particular reason they are bundled together. Let's say if you want your system to be completely development related, so there is a group which has all the development packages which you can install in one go by specifying this name. So what we are looking for is server with GUI. So let's begin and install it. So for doing it, it's yum group install, and in quotes you need to write server with GUI. So it is around 1 GB of things, but this will use the internal, like the Amazon's network, so it would be very fast and you won't need any time. It would be very quick. So let's wait for some time. Meanwhile, I'll show you one more software which you need to install in Mac in order to get the GUI, which is like Microsoft Remote Desktop. So you can download this Microsoft Remote Desktop from Apple Store also. So it's a free software. You just need to install and download and install it. That's it. Because via that software we will be getting our GUI. So if you have ever used VNC, which is the servers, so it is somewhat like VNC, but RDP is a service which you can generally see in Windows systems. where RDP is by default service in the Windows. And one more thing, Windows user don't have to install this Microsoft Remote Desktop. Windows user already have a software called Windows Remote Connection. In the search bar here in Windows, there would be a search bar here. You just need to select right search Windows Remote connections, and there would be one program or software. You just need to open it, and then I'll show what you need to do after this installation. We are just waiting for it to complete. Okay, in meantime, we also need to install one more thing, which is the Apple release. So what is Apple release? It's also a package manager, but it's maintained by some of the other open source contributors. So to get the latest Apple release, you can go to packages.org. In here, you can get all the packages of all the Linux flavors, like the available Linux flavors, and just search Apple release. Yeah, we need this, and we need the x86 architecture, and just copy the binary package one. You just open it in the side window and copy it, because we will be needing this to install XRGP. So actually we will be using XRDP, sorry, not XRGP, it is XRDP, which will be the remote desktop protocol. So we need to install that, and then we'll be able to get the GUI on our M1 machine. And there would, like, if you are very new to this, then there are some no like caution which you need to remember, that on AWS instance you cannot have the audio cards. So whatsoever you need to do with audio, you cannot perform on it, because there won't be any audio cards available. So you cannot get the audio back from the AWS instance. It would be just for your normal usage works. Yes, you can view all the things, but you won't get the audio out. You can do each and everything which you can do from a GUI instance, like let's say a virtual machine or a physical server or a laptop. It would be complete. It would be exactly like you are using another laptop which is having a Red Hat 8. There is one more alternative to XRDP. You can use Tiger VCN. That's also a VCN software. But as far as I have searched, if you need to use a VCN client on M1, so there are no free, good free softwares. There are softwares like Tiger VNC client itself, and even VNC viewers, but I guess they don't have a very good support on Mac. And if you want to have that support, you need to pay to them. So that's why I have not used a VNC server. Otherwise, you can definitely you go for VNC if you are using Windows and you want a GUI of your let's say instance. I don't think so. I don't think that you will be needing a GUI on an AWS instance, but this is for those who are very new to it and who don't have the resources, or let's say they are new to Mac world and they are not getting the right way to find a proper solution for the Red Hat VMs. It is taking longer than usual, but we need to wait. And yeah, one more thing. As I told you earlier, this is just to remind that if you have free credit, and if you can spend some amount on your workload to be on AWS continuously running, then only do this step. Otherwise, Fedora is your only way right now. We need to wait for either the virtualization softwares like the VirtualBox or VMware to come up with a supports like a support version on M1, or you need there is also one alternative, which is you can change the page size. If there is a way possible, you can change the page size of Red Hat to like 16K or less than 16K. Fedora works on 4K, and then recompile it and use it. Like, I haven't found any resource and or anywhere, any blog or anything to research more on this. But the only complete way solution possible solution is either the virtualization softwares come with a proper solution, or the Red Hat can give like roll out a new ISO which can support virtualization on M1 Max. Then only it would be possible. In UTM you can try doing it, but I guess it won't work. It can work for some other image, like let's say it can work for Ubuntu x86-64, but it would be not a very good performance on M1, because it would be then simulation kind of thing. Yeah, so our group list is installed. Now let's go and install uh, uh, Apple release. So to install it, yum install, and as I told you, we need to paste this link. It would download the latest Apple release, and then we need to finally install XRDP. And you can pass -y to tell them to directly install and don't ask for the confirmation. It is done. Now we need to start the service, and we need to permanently start, so it would be enable, and let's even do start XRDP. Now one more thing, which I guess almost all the blogs or resources I have reviewed, and they lack one thing, which you need to add the firewall rule. So if you won't add the firewall rule, what will happen at first, at the very first connection, you would be it would be successful connection from the remote desktop application. But once you close the remote like a Windows remote connection, then very next time if you try to connect, it won't connect because the firewall won't allow. So either you have to completely stop the firewall by systemctl stop firewall, or it's better to add a firewall rule. So this is the command which you need to uh, run in order to allow firewall the RDP port, which is 3389, and that's the reason we have already added this port in our security group, and we need to make it permanent. Okay. So it's a success. Then you need to reload it in order to get all the new rules. Okay. And the last thing which you need to do is set a root password, and you can set anything right now. Yeah, everything is done. Now as I told you, the final thing which you need to do is install the Microsoft Remote Desktop. So I guess you already have installed it, and go to it, go to the software and click on add PC. Then the PC name or the IP, which is in our case this one, paste it here. You can add it and click on connect. So it would ask for the username and password. So give username, which is root, and password which you have set it right now, like just right now, and click on connect. And this will ask you to accept the certificates which you need to do it. And finally every you will get your GUI instance on Red Hat. So it would be a complete Red Hat. So this is a fresh new Red Hat instance, but you got the GUI as you would have got in the virtual machine, or even in your servers, GUI servers. So everything is same. You can do everything, like each and everything which you can do on your instance. And to confirm it, let's see how much RAM and space we have. So free -m, so it's 8 GB RAM, and our instance is 80 GB. As we have configured earlier, we need an 80 GB instance with 8 GB RAM. And you know what the fun part is? It is actually on the Red Hat, like it is actually on the AWS. So the speed, the internet speed which you will get is of the AWS, like the servers or the availability zone. So it is very fast connectivity in this. So you, and right now you will feel that you are using a Red Hat. You won't feel like, okay, I'm using a Mac or a Windows, because it's a completely virtual, let's say a virtual machine running on virtual box. But apart from the reason it's not a virtual box, but it's AWS cloud, and you need a full-time internet connectivity. That's also one thing to use it. And let's even check the thing which I was telling, that for the firewall rule, if you close it and if you again connect it, so this time you won't face any issue. But if you haven't added that firewall rule, you will face an issue of connectivity right now. This won't happen if you haven't set the firewall rule. It is very smooth right now, but it won't be. So please make sure that you add the firewall rule, and if you want to delete this, just click on delete and it would be gone. So that's it for this video, and thank you for watching it, and share to each and everyone who is facing such an issue. because I was getting so much query related to Red Hat, like how to use a Red Hat or CentOS. So as I told you, the issue of CPU page size and the architecture, which is not supported until now from even the virtualization softwares. So this was the best alternative, we can say. It is not a complete solution, it was an alternative to use, but an effective alternative to use. I have used this Red Hat like instance from, I guess, last couple of months. I'm using that remote GUI one, and it is very working fine with me. And even the CLI works fine for me because I don't need a GUI. This was just for the demonstration purpose for the people who are very new to it and need a GUI to better understand the concepts. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching this.